friends, and welcome back to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. My name is Deepa from Designs by Dee, and today I'm going to be sharing this beautiful sunflower summer sunset card with you. And the main technique we're focusing on today is ink blending that beautiful background. Now I'm going to be using the Natalia Meraki Flora Paradise, which are the sunflower. You can pick any one of those sunflowers to use, and I'm also going to be using the You Inspire Me stamp set. I'll be using some oxide inks. The colors I have are Chip Sapphire, Salty Ocean, Fossilized Amber, Abandoned Coral, and Dusty Concord. I'll also be using some Rustic Wilderness and Black Soot for the grassy area below the sunflower and below the sunset. Now the first thing I want to do is take my A2 size piece of white cardstock. I've stuck it onto the sticky mat, and I'm grabbing some removable labeling tape. If you don't have that, you can use a smaller version of tape or just kind of attach a paper on top so that you're going to get that horizon. So I use the die to kind of figure out the placement of where the sunflower would go and where exactly I want that sunset to meet the grass. And I've put that labeling tape on there to mask off the bottom. You could also use masking paper if you don't have labeling tape. And I'm just grabbing some of the fossilized amber to start off. So 2 key tips here. I'm not using a small blending brush. It is a smaller version of the larger blending brushes, which were the blending brushes that, look like those makeup brushes. I find that these work best for doing a background. And particularly for this sunset. The other key point and tip that I'd like to say is that if you're more of a novice at doing ink blending, you're not sure about how your colors mix together, I'd recommend using oxide inks because they have a pigment aspect to them, in that the ink is very nice, it mixes together nice, and if you say make a little bit of mistake, you can kind of come back with the other ink to kind of blend on top. Because that pigment aspect is there, the ink sits on the cardstock a little more rather than absorbing into it like a dye ink would. Now, my third tip is to basically mix your colors. So I've added the fossilized amber. I added a little bit of dusty concord on either side of the yellow, which is basically our sun setting. Then I've come in with abandoned coral just around the purple and the yellow. Kind of mix it in with the yellow. So I've added the abandoned coral, come back with that fossilized amber and mix that in. So once you've laid down one color, come back with the other color. And you'll see me doing that constantly as I build this horizon and the sunset upwards. So I started with the yellow, bits of purple at the side, the the abandoned coral, more of the dusty concord. I'm adding salty ocean and then chip sapphire, and I'll do that blending backwards. So add color 1, then 2, and then come back with color 1 to blend the color out. And that's how I do all of my blending, whether it's on a background, whether it's on a die cut. It tends to work the best, allowing for both colors to mix together. Now I did peel off a bit of that labeling tape just to kind of get a little peek at how it's looking. I did want to darken up the top just a little bit, so I added a bit more chipped sapphire. And again, I'm coming back with the brushes to just kind of blend things out. Now I'm grabbing some more of that labeling tape, and I'm going to make some sun rays. So I'm grabbing the fossilized amber. I'm just going to put this straight up through the center of this card and just blend some of that fossilized amber along the edge. What this is going to do is create the rays of the sun, and you'll see it looks pretty harsh right now. The line's very harsh because I've done it against that edge, but then I'll come back in with the brush to kind of blend it out and smudge it out a bit so that it looks more like a hazy ray that's coming out from the sun into the sky. Now, as I mentioned, we are putting that one sunflower in the center. So these rays, I find they look a little primitive right now. Just stick with it. It all looks a little bit splotchy, like what the heck is going on? But stick with the process, and I guarantee you in the end it'll look nice. Those rays, once you put the sunflower in the center, are going to look really nice. They're not only going to show like they're radiating out from the sunflower, but it brings your eye in towards the focal point, which is that sunflower. Now for the bottom, I'm not doing anything in particular. I'm just adding some of that rustic wilderness and then mixing some of the black soot in to create just a bit of like a varied look at the bottom, which would be like a darker area, which is the black soot, and then the green, which are like all the leaves from whatever else is around that sunflower. Now, another tip I have for sunsets is if you're not sure of which colors to use, because there are various different groups of colors that you can use for a sunset, look up pictures. Look up pictures, Google it, look up sunsets, summer sunsets, and you'll see the colors that you need to use, and you can pick your colors accordingly. You can even follow that picture to kind of figure out where to put each color and what to blend into what. And that's actually what I did too. I didn't actually show you the picture, but this looks almost like it, or at least close enough so I know which colors to blend into what. Now for this step here, I'm just basically adding some gold splatter. I've got different tones of gold that I'm kind of just adding a whole bunch of splatter on here for, because I want this to have like a really like magical type whimsical look. So I thought that the sprinkle of the gold would add to that hazy look that where we have like the rays of the sunshine coming out from the horizon. You don't have to do it, but I find it looks cool. You could also just add, if you don't have a metallic watercolor ink, you could just add sprinkles of water and then just dab it off with a dry cloth. Okay, so moving on, we've now cut out the desired sunflower from the Natalia Paradise set. You can pick any one of those sunflowers. You could have the sunflower standing up a little bit more straight because there's a straight one in there. You could have it kind of falling over to the other side. I liked this one kind of going to the left. It has a little bit of a curve in it, and I just like the flow of it. No other reason than I just liked this one is the reason why I picked it. Now I'm just going to do some coloring. So you could choose to ink blend your flower as well. If you wanted to make this process a little faster, that might work a little better for you. So just use some yellows and browns for the actual petals of the flower, and use a lot of brown, different tones of brown from medium to dark for the center of the sunflower, and then some greens for the stem and the leaves. And that's all I basically did here, except I use markers instead of inks. So I've got all of the markers that I'm using, alcohol markers, listed at the top left. I usually use Copics, but I just got a hold of these. So these are Altenew markers. If you don't have those types of alcohol markers, grab whatever you have on hand and just find colors that are as close as possible, or choose your own colors. You don't have to use the colors that I've used. So generally for flowers, what I like to do is this sort of like flicking method, especially with the sunflowers, because they have like a lot of striations kind of along the petal in straight lines. So I'm just flicking out from the medium color. So the second darkest color, which would be the honey drizzle. Then I'm coming out with the maple yellow, and then in the center I'm using some fresh lemon, and then to darken the edges, so the center and then the tips of the petals, I'm using some mocha, which is like a brown. So that kind of gives it a little bit more of a rustic look and kind of fits with the darkening sunset that's in our background. I just thought that I'd go with the darker tones as well, since this is a sunset and it's kind of darkening, the days coming to an end. The brightest colors of everything are kind of changing and becoming a little bit darker. I did the same kind of thing with the stem and the leaves. I'm just basically adding the colors from, I think this one I did it from lightest to dark, Grassfield, Shadow Creek, and then Mountain Pine. And then for the center of the sunflower, I've just used a bunch of browns, and I did more of a stippling effect rather than drying or flicking the marker there. Keep in mind that this die cut for the center of the sunflower has a lot of like rounded lines on it that are embossed into it to kind of hint at the texture that you get in the center of the sunflower with all those seeds, and that's why I kind of stuck with that stippling effect to kind of enhance that textured look. So I did that ring in the center, light to dark, but the second darkest is the darkest I went to, and then that little bit in the center was just plain colored in the darkest color. Now to put this together, I'm just adding some tape to the back of this die cut here, and I'm just going to inlay these two centers of the sunflower. And then I think once I actually put this in, I noticed that it was a little bit too differentiated, like too much harsh line. So I did do a little bit more blending out with my markers. And you can always do this to kind of make your flower look exactly how you want it. I've always said, and I've said it in some of my other videos that I have on this channel and on my own channel, that art is really about building things up. I don't think there's ever anything that's done that's bad. It's just a matter of maybe you need to add a little more, or maybe you need to add a little bit of something else. But it's always a build-up of color, of mediums, whatever it may be. Now I'm using the You Inspire Me stamp set to heat emboss the sentiment. Now there's a really good sentiment here. I can't remember exactly what it says there, but it's something along the lines of make your own sunshine. And I thought that that just went perfectly with, or it's be your own sunshine. I thought that it went perfectly with this card, especially because we have the sunflower on it. And this is a perfect example of how two different sets can kind of go together so perfectly. So I've just gone ahead and heat embossed that. Now I just have to cut this out into a banner strip, and then I'll cut it down to size so that I can stick it on my card and just kind of have it there in the center, just like the sunflowers in the center. So now we can work on putting this together. I have an A2 sized white top folding card base. I'm just going to add some adhesive right on top and attach this beautiful blended beautifully blended sunset on top of it. I noticed that there's like a little strip of white along the edge. Sometimes my cards are just a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, depending on how I've measured it. So I'll just cut that little sliver off so that all you see is all of the color, that vivid color in the sunset. You could add a border to it, but whenever I do like a landscape background or something like this, I do like to have it just go to the edge of the card. Now I'm adding the sunflower on top, and I did so with foam squares to give it a little bit of dimension, to have it pop off the page a little more and kind of enhance its focal point. I don't know where to put the sentiment. Should I put it on the top or on the bottom? I think in the end I decide to put it at the bottom with some foam adhesive again to prop it up a little. And I did this mainly because I didn't want to cover up those rays of sunshine at the top of the sunset. When I put the sentiment at the top, it cuts off those rays and you don't really see them at all. And I really like how they turned out and how they kind of spotlight that sunflower in the center. So now moving on, we have two more steps to this. I'm adding some gems. I've got some of these gorgeous gems that just kind of shine in AB color. So basically all colors of the rainbow, which is pretty subtle, so I thought that it would go well with this. It gives a nice glisten. Now I forget exactly what it's called, but everything and all the products that I've used are listed in the description below, so you can always check that out in the Crafty Meraki store. For the glisten, so we've got the glisten in the background there with that metallic paint splatter and with those gems. I did want to add some glisten on the actual sunflower. So I've actually got some Nuvo Dream drops, and this is I think this is called Golden Shimmer, which is ideal. So it goes on, it looks a bit white, a little bit opaque, but as it dries it goes clear, and it has gold shimmer in it, like very fine gold glitter. And I don't even think it's glitter, it's like gold mica or something, and it looks very pretty. It's kind of hard to see in the video. You see I'm kind of tilting the card so you can see it, but it looks absolutely beautiful when you tilt the card, and it looks like the sun is glistening off the sunflower, which is what I love, and that's the look I was going for. So I hope that all the tips that I've provided in this YouTube tutorial today are of use to you, and that you're able to make your own summer sunset as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and I look forward to seeing you guys next Sunday for another video. Have a great day. Bye.